Mentioned before the governor's bill, which I'm not sure the timing of it, but we expect to come out probably sometime in March. In addition, Assemblyman Brodsky, who spoke earlier, has introduced 3 bills that deal with the expansion of the definition of state contract, that deal with disallowing waivers and periodic reporting, and that deal with the concept of diversity practices, where state agencies and authorities will look at the diversity practices of potential bidders to determine whether or not they have diversity within their ranks, as opposed to just going to find subcontracting partners. So those bills are out there. They've been printed and will be part of the overall discussion. Assemblyman Brodsky's bills have largely been consolidated in Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson's Senate Bill 1799, which is a part of the packet that you all have received today. That bill is also introduced on the Assembly side by Assemblyman Brodsky. And again, it includes those 3 components that I mentioned, but also does some additional things to really make New York's MWBE law the strongest law in the country. Among the things that 1799 achieves, or will achieve, is it will fund a technical assistance mandate that has been on the books for a number of years but has never been funded. In Section 4A of the Economic Development Law, it includes a requirement that there be both technical assistance for MWBEs and funding of enterprise programs. With that assistance, we will certainly move the ball further along in making sure that MWBEs both have access to the contract opportunities, but also have the support to make sure that we're able to knock the ball out of the park, if you will, in performing. 1799 also will prohibit automatic waivers, and I mentioned it before. Heard too many stories, and we all have heard stories of contractors that have said we cannot find qualified MWBE firms to subcontract with. And when you have these automatic waivers, it really gives the contractor an easy out, and so it will be illegal to give an automatic waiver. Any waiver will have to be justified in writing, and in fact, we may add a requirement that you have to make a legal affidavit and therefore be under threat of perjury if you fail to use good faith efforts to identify and work with MWBE firms. In addition, 1799 will strengthen the Division of Minority and Women Business Development in terms of working with the state agencies. The division will have the ability to look at compliance by the state agencies and authorities, and in the event that the state agencies and authorities are not compliant, the division will be able to come in and look at their contracting programs and performance, and if it's found to be seriously deficient, to even intervene in contract award processes. So we'll have a strong advocate in the division, and that advocate will really be strengthened to make sure that 15A is complied with. In addition, 1799 will create periodic reporting that will be publicly available. The periodic reporting will be basically on an annual and quarterly basis. In terms of the annual report, it will be a comprehensive report with quarterly updates. And that is critical, as we understand, if we don't see what actually is happening, there is no way that we can measure the effectiveness of 15A or any state agency's compliance with 15A. In addition, the 1799 bill also includes the support for diversity practices as described, and it expands the ability of state agencies and authorities to make contract awards under a certain amount to MWBEs. Currently, under the state finance law, small businesses are able to get awards without a competitive process for contracts under $100,000. What we're proposing, what 1799 proposes, is to raise that amount to $250,000 and to include MWBEs in that category, which should open up additional opportunities for smaller contracts to be bid exclusively to small businesses and MWBE firms. I'd like to next speak quickly about Senate Bill 6888 and Assembly Bill 89976, which deals with an emerging manager and MWBE financial institution strategy. This is legislation that will bring into the MWBE procurement laws financial services that we talked about before. Again, financial services, New York State has just great talent in terms of financial services. What this law will do is create an obligation by the pension plans of the state, and also by the pension plans and certain the insurance fund and different aggregators of capital to allocate 15% of their investment, externally managed investments with asset managers that are MWBE firms. It will further require the agent or the funds to set goals to create programs that will allocate or look to make 25 to 35% of their commissions and sales with MWBE investment banks and financial institutions. And the last piece of this other legislation is it will allow the pension funds, or require the pension funds, to create programs to make expenditures and make investments with MWBE firms, so that pension funds will be specifically looking to make capital investments with MWBE firms, which at present does not exist. So again, thank you very much. I just wanted to give a quick update on the legislation.